Hi Year 7s and welcome back to our third and final practical cooking demo for your unit. Before we start, let's look at our basics. I have my hair up and away from my face, all of my jewellery's been removed, I've got my sleeves tucked up and I've washed my hands prior to starting. I've also got all of my mise en place ready and we'll go through that in a second. So this is our third and final cook. It's a really fun, easy cook and you're going to love it. It's really cheap and easy to find the ingredients for as well. Some of you may have had some trouble finding things like flour and cocoa and sugar for your last recipe. You won't have that issue with this recipe. Okay, so health and safety is done. Let's look at the ingredients. These are going to go into the ingredients column on your work plan. So this is called the no-bake choc ripple cake, and as the name suggests, it's a no-bake cake. It's kind of a little bit magic. You might have had it, it's a bit of an Aussie classic to have at barbecues and Christmas time and things like that. So obviously, as the name suggests, you need some choc ripple biscuits. These are an Arnott's biscuit, but you can buy home brand versions of them. They're a chocolate biscuit, but they're dry. There is no chocolate coating, there's no cream inside like an Oreo. So you need one packet of those. This is just the biscuits out of their packet. You don't have to use choc ripple biscuits, but you need to use a dry biscuit. So anything like a ginger nut, a Scotch finger, anything that has no cream, that has no chocolate coating is fine to use, and you can use the cheaper version, the home brand version is fine. So that's the chocolate biscuit we're using, but go your hardest and use a different type if you like, choc ripple biscuit. We need some vanilla. There's lots of different types of vanilla you can get. This one's the essence, it's a little bit cheaper and more watered down. This one's the extract, it's a little bit more thick and syrupy and a bit more expensive. Whatever you've got in your cupboard's fine. You can get imitation vanilla, you can use vanilla bean pods, whatever you've got in your cupboard, use that. You don't even really need to use it, but it does add a little bit of a better flavour. And we need 1 teaspoon of that. And again, the lid is the teaspoon. Okay, nice little trick. We need 1 tablespoon of caster sugar. Now, I actually didn't have any caster sugar in my cupboard, so I just used white sugar. And there's not a lot of difference. The only thing is it's a little bit coarser and bigger grained. White sugar, caster sugar, one is just more highly processed and a bit finer. So caster sugar is better to use if you've got it because it dissolves quicker in the cream. But if you don't go and buy it, especially for this recipe. Just use white sugar like I did, and it's 1 tablespoon of that. And look, my mise en place is done. It's pre-measured out before I started. I've got 1 container, 600 ml of thickened cream. Now, this recipe is not a good one for our butts, okay? This is not a healthy recipe. You must use full fat thickened cream. You can't use light cream for this recipe. It won't work because light cream doesn't thicken up. So you must use a full fat version of cream for this recipe, and you need the 600 ml, you need that quantity. Which is just 1 standard kind of bottle. You can get lactose-free thickening cream. Just make sure on the bottle, I think it's a Zimmel brand, that it says suitable for whipping. That's the only thing you have to watch. So this one will say suitable for whipping or whipping cream or thickened cream, whereas the light one, which you can't use, will have not suitable for whipping. So you do need to get the proper full fat for this one. Keep an eye on that. The last thing you need is something to decorate your no-bake choc ripple cake with. I've just got some unicorn confetti. Hundreds and thousands would work, crushed up biscuit would work, anything you've got in the cupboard. Okay, you might have a flake chocolate bar, you could crush that up over the top, some Maltesers would work, anything you like to decorate it with, but keep it simple because you want to be able to taste your cake. So they're the ingredients that are going in. They will go into the ingredients column of your work plan. So we've got 1 pack of choc ripple biscuits or dry biscuits, we've got 1 tablespoon of caster or white sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 600 ml full fat thickened suitable for whipping cream, and something to decorate with. Okay, they're your ingredients. Let's look at our equipment. Okay, we need a bowl that we're going to be whipping our cream in, something fairly large. Okay, we've got some measuring implements. So we've got a tablespoon measure, which I measured my sugar with. Obviously that's done in advance. We've got our teaspoon measure in case you don't want to use the lid. I'm just going to use the lid, I'm fine with that. We've got some sort of a spatula or a wooden spoon. We've also got a knife, which I'm going to kind of use as a bit of a palette knife to help decorate toward the end. So just a butter knife is fine. I've got a hand mixer. Okay, a good old school hand mixer is fine. I've actually got a big KitchenAid mixer that I would probably personally use for mixing cream, but I wanted to show you what most people have got in their house is a hand mixer, which I've already attached to the power and is turned on with the implements placed inside. You can also, if you don't have an electric mixer or a hand mixer, just use a whisk. It'll take a little bit longer, but it'll be fine. And you will actually get the same end product, but you'll get a really sore arm. So if you do have a hand mixer, or the neighbour's got one, or grandma's got one, or auntie's got one, see if you can use this. Otherwise, good old hand whisk is fine. We also need a container to put your slice in, or your no-bake choc ribble cake in. Sorry, not slice. So you need something that's got a really strong, sturdy lid. We're actually going to be making the cake on the lid and then using the base as the top, okay, as the lid to cover our cake and put it in the fridge. So you need something that's going to have a little bit of height. You can see this is what I'm going to be using. A little bit of height, because you actually want to be able to have a fair bit of height in your cake. And you're wanting to have it big enough to actually fit your cake in there. So this one's a really good size. It's a bit bigger than your Pride Planners, but it's got a really nice, sturdy, strong fitting lid, so it's not going to all of a sudden fall off in the fridge and you're going to have a disaster on your hands. Another one that could be suitable, just thinking of what you've got at home, is these ones, these little Sistema ones that have got the clicking sides. They're really great because they're nice and sturdy, and that will again fit over the top of your lid, which you're going to use as the actual base for your cake. Okay, this is not a cooking cake. Remember, we're not using any heat. We're not using anything to cook the cake. The fridge is actually going to magically turn our biscuits and cream into a cake consistency. I'm not going to use this one today. I'm going to use the bigger one, but that's suitable. Any Tupperware is fine. Just kind of make sure that you do have a nice sturdy fitting lid, and you've also got enough kind of room in your container to fit the cake. So that equipment would go on the equipment column of your work plan. The only other thing for mise en place that I kind of did is I made sure that my sugar was kind of measured out, and I made sure I have all of my equipment around me and ready to go, so I'm not rushing around my kitchen. This one doesn't have as much mise en place as last week. Okay, let's get started. So into our bowl, I'm going to place our whole bottle of cream. In it goes. Now, cream is the fatty part of the milk. Okay, when milk is unprocessed, it actually is at the top of the milk, and it's taken and skimmed off the milk. It's very high fat, so 18% fat normally. So you may not know, or you may know, that if we whip cream for a substantial amount of time, that it will turn into two products. It will split, it will curdle, and it will turn into butter, which we're probably quite familiar with, and it will turn into buttermilk, which is a low-fat, kind of sour, kind of less creamy, milky product. And they use that in things like southern fried chicken and in buttermilk pancakes and things like that. So what we're wanting to be really careful of today is that we don't want to whip our cream so much that it turns into butter and buttermilk. That's far too far. We want it to be nice and thickened and whipped to form stiff peaks, which I'll talk about soon, but we don't want to whip it so much that it's turning into butter and buttermilk because it's gone too far. You can't get it back together again. So I'm going to show you a few ways you can tell that that's about to happen and stop before it happens. So we've got our cream in our bowl. I'm going to pop in my tablespoon of caster sugar or white sugar. I'm going to pop in my lid or 1 teaspoon worth of vanilla, and this is just going to give it a really nice flavour. And the sugar is just going to sweeten it up a little bit. If you're trying to be a bit better with your eating, a bit more nutritious, you could leave the sugar out, but it does give it a nice kind of sweetness to it. It is dessert, okay? And that's all we really need in there, okay? So I'm just going to put these to the side for a minute when we're actually assembling the cake. So we've got our 600ml cream, full fat, thickened cream, suitable for whipping, tablespoon of caster or white sugar, teaspoon of vanilla. And we're going to start mixing. This is going to be a little bit noisy. Okay, I'm going to stop it at a few points and I'm going to tell you what we're looking for. Notice when I'm whipping, I'm holding my bowl, I've got my beater upright, okay, and I'm really watching it. I don't want it to be spraying all around the kitchen and all over you. And if you put your angle, your beater at a funny angle, that's what will happen. It will kind of spray everywhere. So be really careful that you only start your beater once it's in the cream and you stop it before you bring it out. So it just saves any cleaning up later, which you should be doing, not your parents. tell that it's kind of starting to thicken is there's little waves in your cream. At first, the waves will disappear straight away. And after a little while, the waves will stay. So little ripples or little waves in the cream. So that's the first thing I'm going to keep my eye out for, and I've started to see some. Okay, at this point, my waves and ripples are staying. So I'm going to be looking out for something called soft peaks. And this is where, when I start to move my beaters up and down, they form little mountains with the cream, but then they kind of flatten out again straight away, hence the soft peaks. They're quite breakable still. So that's my second point I'm watching out for. So at this point, I've got soft peaks. So it's kind of hard to see, but basically it means that when I lift my beaters out, I have little mountains that form in the cream, but they fall back over again and then kind of just collapse. So that's only probably about 30 seconds off being the next final stage, which is called stiff peaks. The other thing that you can do is to see if it's ready or not. If you lift your bowl up, but the cream starts moving, and I have to be careful because I don't want it to go everywhere. If the cream is still moving around your bowl a lot, it's not ready, okay? If the cream stays put when you move your bowl up on the side, it's ready. So that's the other thing to look out for. So stiff peaks and no movement in your bowl. Okay, I think I'm pretty good. So you can see that when I lift my bowl on the side, my cream kind of stays put a fair bit. Okay, I could probably take that another 5 seconds maybe, and I might do that. But that is stiff peaks, because when I lift my mixer out of the cream, it makes little mountains, and the mountains stay put, they stay up. Okay, I'm just going to do another 5 seconds. And then I'm just going to eject my mixer attachments, give them a little hit, and they're going to get washed up. Okay, so my cream is done. Okay, so see, it's not moving at all. Technically, I could probably put it over my head, which you've probably heard some people do, but I'm not going to because I don't want a big mess. So that is my cream done. Now comes the fun part. We get to make the cake. Okay, so I'm going to get my lid is my base. I'm going to get all my stuff ready so I'm organised. Now it's a bit like making a lasagna. We get layers. So we've got cream, biscuit, and we build up the layers. So we want a little bit of cream at the base, and depending on the size and the shape of your container will depend upon what shape and size your cake will be. So just work with whatever size container you've got. This one's a rectangle, so I'm going to do a rectangle, probably 2 by 3 biscuits each layer. But you might have a circle container, make it a circle cake, okay? This is a really good one as a belated Mother's Day gift because you don't need to use any heat or knives. It's safe to do by yourself. So mum or auntie or grandma should be able to trust you to do it by yourself. And it's also nice and cheap, so you can give mum a nice kind of late Mother's Day surprise. Okay, layer of cream, layer of biscuits. Another layer of cream. We don't have to worry about the sides yet, we're going to fix them up at the end. Okay, another layer of biscuits. Another layer of cream. Another layer of biscuits. So it's really nice and repetitive. Easy and quick to do. Might be a good one to get little brothers and sisters to help with. Can't get it too wrong. I'm probably only going to do one more layer of biscuits. size container you've got. Looks like my kids are going to have some biscuits for afternoon tea. One more layer of cream on top. So I've used almost exactly my whole bottle of cream, so you're not going to have much wastage, which is really good. Now the important thing is, because this is going in the fridge and you're wanting the cold temperature in the fridge to make the cream turn the biscuits into a cake consistency. So you don't want any biscuits dry and sticking out dry. So they all need to be covered by the cream so that they can do their magic in the fridge. So just make sure that you've got all the biscuits covered by the cream. So I'm going to use my butter knife now, and I'm just going to go around the edge, a bit like a palette knife on a cake. I'm just going to kind of use what I've got so far. I can add some extra cream soon. And just kind of see if I can cover up those edges. It's okay if you've got like a little bit of brown peeking through the cream, but you shouldn't see any dry biscuit at all. Everything should be covered by the cream. Okay, just going to check for any spots where I might need some extra cream. If you want to get really picky, you can kind of get really nice flat top and really nice smooth sides if you want. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, and once you're happy that all of the biscuits are covered and that the cream's nice and smooth, then we can decorate. Okay, so I'm just going to decorate the top. I'm not going to decorate the sides because I think it gets a bit messy once we start decorating the sides. But if you've got some Maltesers or something like that that are a little bit easier to manage, you might like popping them around the side. Just don't put too much on the side because they will kind of fall off if they're too heavy. So I've just put some little decorations on top. Now, this, once you're finished, which I am, needs to have its lid plopped in and secured. Okay, can't just be sitting there. It needs to really make that nice, secure clicking sound. And then I'm going to pop that in the fridge for about 6 to 8 hours. So it's about 2 o'clock now, so at about 8 o'clock tonight, it's ready to go. Okay, that's the 6 hour mark. So if you're making it kind of lunchtime or mid-morning, it'll be ready for dessert that night. If you make it 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I wouldn't eat it until the next day. So you do need kind of about 6 hours or 7 hours or 8 hours in the fridge, and that's going to turn that hard biscuit into a really yummy chocolate cake consistency. Then you can just chop it up and enjoy. So a few things to remember, okay? This is a really easy recipe, but there's a few points where it can go quite badly wrong. With your cream, it needs to be stiff peaks, not split and curdled where you've got like chunky kind of bits of butter and buttermilk in there. So if it starts doing that, unfortunately you can't actually get it back to the stiff peaks, you have to chuck it out. Or you've got lumpy kind of not quite right whipped cream. So do keep an eye on it, okay? Stop, look at it, it's got the ripples, okay? A little bit longer, yep, the ripples are staying, okay? Then a little bit longer, the soft peaks, but it's still moving around the bowl. A little bit longer, and we stop it, probably only about 10-15 seconds after the soft peaks, we get those stiff peaks, where if you kind of move the bowl around, it doesn't move with the bowl. And then I've just created the layers like a lasagna and then decorated it. And just make sure that you don't have any biscuit kind of sticking out that doesn't have cream on it, because otherwise that's going to be not going that beautiful soft chocolate cake consistency. And all of that method, remember, goes in the method on your work plan. So have fun with this one, be creative. It's a nice, easy recipe. Everyone will love you for it, and you can cook this over and over again. Try some different combinations. I particularly like ginger nut biscuits with a little bit of passion fruit through the cream. Ginger and passion fruit, yum, they go really well together. You could do even butternut nut biscuits in there, which is nice caramelly kind of toffee kind of flavour. So there's some options, some other options that you might like to try this time or next time you cook it, but have fun, and I can't wait to see your photos of your cook coming through, and keep your other ones from previous weeks coming through as well. Thanks, grade 7s, bye.